Hawkins, Rob Adlan. Hi, Rob. Nice to meet you. Welcome to Face. Hi, Kareem from X. Kurt, how are you? AJ, the stream team. Yeah. All right. Okay. So, wild day Friday. Wow, what a wild day. So, let's talk about this and something that I notice. It's a market tell on the dollar for me. So dollar's a little weaker today. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the tell I got Friday during this massive sell-off, which really happened all week, was there was no safe haven bid at all in the dollar. Okay, so that tells me that this is important, if not for a major top, at least a minor top. I won't sell the dollar in the hole here, but if I get a reaction off this break in the next few days, I'll take a shot. I think there's a chance we're going to trade all the way back down to 98, 98 and a half. So looking for long positions in euro, maybe get an ABC, there'd be a better level to buy. So that was really my main takeaway. So talking about the market, it did begin to rally on hopes of the government shutdown ending, and I guess it's over if President Trump signs whatever CR that they pass. And in my view, this is a rip to sell between here and 61.8. I don't think we're going to new highs. I think this is wave one or A. So I'd be looking to sell it. Maybe we get some type of ABC over the next week or so. And one other thing that I know from Friday is the NASDAQ low is really key because it held that 50-day moving average, and underneath it, there's lots of space, all the way down to 22,000 about. So those are my thoughts. Thankfully, you don't have to rely on just those. So why don't we start with Ryan here on the euro? You think you think what I know you notice the same thing, no? His safe haven bid on, what was the 280 handle break in the
Yeah.
S. So that kind of told me don't press the long side of the dollar.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We've got this potential end to the shutdown, but it's really over only papering over the cracks, a sticky plaster till the end of January. Yes, it's
Right.
going to fund some programs through the fiscal year, but it's a small can kick if they get it done this week. It's still it's got over one big hurdle, obviously, but it's still got other hurdles to get over. And that's one thing.
What's the biggest hurdle? President Trump?
No, I don't think so. I think it's all it's got to go through the House of Representatives, and it's got to go through this, and it's all the other bits and pieces. They basically kicked the can on this medical stuff that they've been arguing over. That's been the whole sticky point, and the Democrats have basically voted blind for a negotiating period between sort of now and the end of January to get that done. If it's not sorted, we're back in shutdown end of January. But it gets Trump over the hill of not having all these programs coming to a halt, snap, and all that sort of stuff.
And
I think
and then maybe people like we talked about last week, that maybe they could get some air traffic controllers paid and back on the work so people could travel over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because we had F.A.C.E coming out and saying how bad things are going to get, how they're going to be worse than expected to hit to the economy and travel. And we had Besant saying things could be worse. And I think this is Trump's advisor saying that. So if they're thinking it, Trump's thinking, shit, we need to do something going into the holiday period. And it carries the can over that period. How much we bounce back though is going to be the surprise. You know, a lot of people saying, "Oh, we've been shut for 40 days or whatever, so the markets, you know, the economy is going to bounce back." I'm not so sure. And then we have to see what data we're going to get, when we're going to get it, and what it all says. So it's going to be a very choppy period, I think, going into the end of the year.
Yeah. I can say this. I don't think that Michael Burry's thesis for shorting NVIDIA and Palantir was the government shutdown.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, different reasons than that. So we'll see. I mean, I think you get retracements in those, but I don't know if it's just back off to the races on this either. Same kind of feeling in cable. Cable's actually outperforming the euro a bit. You
Yeah.
think we get through 2.5? Looks like the next hurdle.
Yeah, we could well do. I think we've got a decent bit of data this week. Jobs tomorrow, GDP on Thursday, and trade and other bits and bobs. And that's really sort of the last numbers we'll get before the budget. I don't think anything we get from the data saves what's coming from that budget, because it's not something that's going to change whatever's going to happen at that budget. But I think it could be important for how the market goes into the budget, you know, last decisions sort of thing. So if we get good data this week, then the pound's probably going to be a bit buoyed up. And then it might be getting a bit of a slap around the face when we do get to the budget.
Okay. So Canada had that news that took it down hard on Friday. Does this change your bull case?
It changes the short-term bull case. I said in the room after that data, this could be one of those light switch moments for the Canadian dollar. You know, the last few months, it's come through other data points, it's come through what's happened in the dollar, and it's looked pretty resilient. And this one has been a bit of a potentially a bit of a change. It's holding 140. I've got my other line underneath 139.78. If we hold any of those, then the bull case remains. If we start breaking down, then we could go and test those lows near the 139s again. And I would not be surprised if we see that.
Thank you, Ryan.
Pleasure, mate.
All right, buddy. Good morning, Kman.
Good morning, Dale. Good morning, everybody.
How are you, brother? So I want to
Good.
start off with you and the ends pressing the highs again. I
Yeah.
think, you know, I'm not short anymore. I think we're going to make a move towards 55. Is that your bias as well?
Yeah. It's again the case. Got a few BOJ members saying, confirming that we're closing in on the next rate hike, but then you have the rest of the government, the officials putting stimulus packages in motion, being a lot more cautious, or asking Bank of Japan to be more cautious, and then you have a bit of a positive, those positive vibes on the back of higher equities, etc. And as I was saying already, all the records saying that you can't stay long yen for long, and it's again the case, right? Yeah, this one I'm long off.
We talked about that last week, that it could put in a third drive up there around
Yeah, I think we can go
9.5.
there. I'm in the more medium term. I got some stuff up at around 181 or so. Let me just, while you're hovering around it, just confirm on my longer term picture to see where this thing is. Yeah, no, there's a bit going on just below 180, and that would already be quite nice. Yeah, and then above there it's yeah, higher. Yeah, higher.
Then we
Yeah.
get into a throw over.
Yeah. So yeah, I think unless we get some real negative news on the shutdown, perhaps sending the dollar spike on a spike lower. Yeah, it's just and I find euro yen is still the kind of the better one, because it's more of a stable kind of move. It's been swimming quite well through whatever is happening in the rest. It's a bit more of a stable one. Yeah, as you were saying at the beginning of the show, euro is being one of those currencies that if you in the FX market, there's other instruments, of course, but in purely in the FX market is if you don't want to keep too many dollars, I mean, euro is your second block, even if it's lower in interest rates, is still a big piece. So I think that has supported the euro right here and now. But I do have a bit of a line coming in around 115.90, 116, and that's kept it twice now. So it really needs to break above 116, and then I think we can go back to the upper side of the 116s, maybe
like
116.
118. 118 if
118,
that happens. Yeah.
118, I think in the current context may require another breakdown of the talks around the shutdown, or coming up with something that's really not looking good over the shutdown. Let's say just that they have like only a small part of the instances reopening, and the rest still not being able to reopen. So it may require a bit more, but I can easily see high 116s, 117 if we break above 116. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did notice Friday that when the market started to come off the lows, the
Mm.
euro put in that tail and started coming back down. It was right
Yeah.
here.
Uh,
So
uh,
the market recovery was almost,
yeah.
constructive the dollar. So
Mm.
now I'm thinking,
Well,
you
that's
know,
that's the
uh,
thing. That may mean that we have reached smaller, but that we have reached that inflection point where lower equities are not positive dollar anymore,
right,
and the
right. That's
inverse
exactly,
is true as well. So we now we
yeah,
we may need to think a bit opposite of what the usual safe haven is that when equities go higher, it may not be that bad for the dollar after all. This
yeah,
one has raised a lot of antennas. Why was it spiking, or why is it spiking when there are talks about ending the shutdown? And I think we have to look at it where Besant and Hassett were so warning against perhaps slowing down economy. Besant saying that the $2,000 per person may come in the form of tax cuts. That means more deficits to be funded. I think the market really took that side. I was, to be honest, I was a bit surprised myself that we rallied that much in the Asian
I'm
time.
surprised every day
Yeah, well, I understood
by
why it would
something.
do it, and
Yeah.
on a continued
I've,
shutdown, etc. But now to
I've,
have
I've
having
been,
this in the mix,
I've been waiting for it to do this. So, do you think that this is a launch pad for new highs or,
41, 41,
oh,
30, 30, 45. If it goes through
okay,
there,
do
we're
you sell
probably
it?
going to stretch.
Okay. This could still be a failing rally in your
We
view?
have up to 4,200.
Yeah, okay.
Why not?
So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I've been
Mm,
waiting for it
mm.
for what is this, 2 weeks for it to get back into some fib zones. Halfway's 41.33, 61.8, 41.92. So silver, maybe we get back towards 51, although 50.50 is a big level, right? That's where we
Yeah,
broke
50
down.
and a half. I have it. I have some levels around here as well, right around 50. That's actually quite, and I would rather understand silver outperforming gold on such a move when you have slightly more positive vibes in the market. So silver, I'm a little less surprised, especially that it was really holding well in above the middle part of the latest consolidation range. So maybe that's going to push, as you say, a bit more as well. 50.5, 51.
Okay. Comments on Max, you and Ryan. I know that this level was important. We've taken it out. We have new lows coming in US dollar Max.
Could well be, mate. We took it out and smashed through it and tore it all
Yeah.
up in the air. So yeah, it's still not ready to make a move up, which keeps the 2025 downtrend in play. Yeah, if it holds below this 1840, 1845 area and breaks at 1835, I would expect we'll see 1820s or more afterwards.
Okay. Thanks for that. And Blake, good morning. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing well, Coach. Good morning and happy birthday to all my Marine brothers and sisters out there in the world. It's 250 years today.
Wow. Yeah. When did you
Yeah,
join?
it's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
It's a big one.
250.
Even Netflix made a documentary and launched it today. So
Oh yeah, I saw that coming up.
yeah, that
Okay.
was because of the 250-year birthday. So yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
So
So
yeah.
what are you storming? You're getting out of your landing craft right now. You're hitting the beaches, Blake. What are you looking at before you jump into some trench to take cover?
Well, I'm surprised FX has been pretty quiet. The euro's been just kind of bouncing around, basically, where the closing price was on Friday. Sterling's been obviously stronger. I got stopped out of gold. I picked up some gold short on Friday. I was like, I knew they were gonna. Well, I assumed we were gonna reopen come this weekend because there's just too much pressure on
Yeah.
legislators right now. I mean, prices are high. Inflation's running amok. You can't shut down, like you got travel shutting down. I mean, we'd have social unrest if people couldn't travel over the holidays, as Thanksgiving's approaching. So I figured we'd be reopening this weekend, and we, even though we have not reopened yet, the market is acting as such. We still got a couple paces that we need to get through. We have to, everything has to go through the Senate and then the House and then, to President Trump. And we're
All right.
assuming, the market's assuming there's going to be no hangups here. So for that reason, I got stopped out of gold. Although I still think it is a decent short. We're at a 38% retracement. You guys were just talking about it.
Yeah.
I think Kman was referencing maybe 30 points higher than here. You get into some resistance. I do think around these levels you find resistance, and it might be a situation where soon as the bell rings and we actually reopen, maybe we get that reversal. That was my original thought. I just was trying to get ahead of it this morning or on Friday, so I took a loss there. But I do think it is a sell on rally type of event, like you guys were, or a sell on rally type of situation, as you guys were pointing out a little bit earlier. I as far as the dollar, like the dollar goes, like you look at the euro. I don't mind being on the short side of the euro still. I think we're up against some pretty key resistance. These are the levels. If you watch the week ahead video, I'm looking for a short anywhere around the 116 level, just because it is a 618 retracements, the underside of this broken triangle, and I think you want to be on the short side around these levels. You look at other pairs, like I just took my Aussie Kiwi long off, and then I'm going to be buying dips now. So I just took my long off from last week. This is a really, I got to show you guys this chart because this is a massive, massive breakout. Take a look at this move. I mean, this is a base. Look at that base.
Yeah.
You're talking a 12-year base, and we're trying to break out to the upside. And if you just
Good eye.
think about where we could go here, from here to here to, back up towards, the 130 level, that's a 1,500 pip range
That's
extension.
huge.
Not that it's going to happen today or next year. If you're looking at, more than a decade's worth of information, you're talking, it's going to take a long time to make our way up there, but it's a big breakout. And that's something that I think is worthy of buying dips now, as long as we stay above 115. So that's a big one. As a matter of fact, I haven't asked Ryan what he thinks of that one, because I know you've been focused on that one for a while. How are you reading this Aussie Kiwi?
Yeah, it's looking like a big strong breakout. We haven't had a retest of the break point around sort of 114.50s, 60s, which are some of those prior highs. So it's looking pretty good. There's a bit of resistance into 116, 115.90. We got to go all the way left to, just against those prior highs there for the next resistance. So yeah, we're talking about. Someone was asking, going over, and David, I think David Fox was asking how you trade this one if you're flat. I think if you're trying to short it, you've got to wait for a bit of price action to show that we found a bit of a top, and then go against it, or you look the other way and you buy a dip to the break point against those prior highs in the 114.50, 60s.
Yeah, I think that's the way you got to play it, right? I mean, this is such a big breakout. You just don't know how far it's going to go, and that's why. And it is a fairly slow moving currency. And that's why, it's like I took profits and I'm just going to buy dips, and I'm just hoping there is a relatively decent dip. Now we do have Aussie employment, which will be Thursday morning in Australia. So maybe that might be a catalyst that drives this pair. But it's a big breakout. It is a big one.
Could be huge.
Yeah, it's huge. It's kind of,
stuff.
yeah, it's like the way I looked at the euro sterling, although the euro sterling's been, I'm a little bummed out at how limited this move has been. And
it's a
I know you got to
tortoise.
practice some patience here, but
It's a tortoise compared to Aussie Kiwi.
yeah, it really is. I mean, I've been sitting long this thing for like the last week and a half, right at these levels. Like,
Yeah.
you sit here and it's like frustrating because you're long.
Yeah.
I was up 30 pips. Now I'm like I'm flat again. And it's like,
Well, it wants to give people a lot of chances to get long right here. It's making it convenient.
I guess so. I guess so. But
see the,
you got to be quick.
mean?
You got to be quick taking your money when it's there. This is the perfect pair because it costs you to be long. You need to if you get in a position, you need to put enough on that you can chop some, keep a core position, but keep turning over a bit of profit so you can pay for that carry.
That makes sense. And we have jobs data tomorrow, and then we have GDP on Thursday morning, I believe. So we got some data that's coming out that and I'm a little thinking about this, like I'm not really too happy if I'm I'm kind of like I don't like betting against sterling, especially with the inverted head and shoulder pattern that's set up here. We have a nice inverted head and shoulder pattern. Sterling's right at the 38% retracement. I've been arguing that this is pretty decent resistance, since last week. So we're right up against it, and it looks like we could squeeze more in sterling. I think positioning probably would be leaning towards more of a squeeze here, especially on good data. What do you say about that, Kman?
Cable to me is 131.40 really my level. Yeah, I can see a bit more squeezing, especially that sterling is a bit of a risk currency as well, right? But I think this week's data are going to be pretty important because they actually give the market a frame or like kind of like a whole host of data to prepare then going into the budget, whether it's on the positive or on the negative side. So I still think overall, as I said, that overall the sterling market may be leaning still a bit towards the short side. So what we are seeing now is kind of logic, I would say. But I was on the other side. If the data show a weaker picture in the UK, I think the market will feel relatively confident to at least until the budget trade it from the short side. So I'm just waiting for a signal. If it's strong enough, and I'm kind of biased to be, maybe an easier trade to be short than long. If the numbers disappoint in the UK.
Got it. Okay. Dale, you talked a little bit earlier about the S&P, and I agree with you here. If you look at that, this is actually Kman was the one that Kman and I'm trying to think who it was. Benedict also in our chat room that was looking at these lows across here, which is great because I actually covered. I think I was short the S&P right into that level, and I covered right at the low, thanks to those guys pointing that out in the chat room. But you'll notice, Dale, this is the same level you're looking at. You got the 618 right here, but also a really big pivot through here, which looks like a decent level for the S&P to really stall at. It's going to be really interesting because I'm assuming we're going to be right there as we're finding out that the U.S. government is reopening. So whether we get a reaction from there or not is going to be also fairly interesting as well. I think it's going to be a level to be looking at. I'm considering getting short some S&Ps up here, but I want to see how we shake out the next couple of days as the government reopens. So
Yeah, because besides the recovery in today's strong opening, if you look at the weekly candle, it was still a pretty negative candle on the S&P. It was still a reversal candle.
yeah. And I mean, obviously this news right at the beginning of the week is giving us a little bit of a reversal of that, but I like playing into those weekly candles, especially as strong as the one that we got there was. So, we got just a few minutes. Ryan, what are you going to focus on later today? Is there anything that you're looking at?
Not in particular. Just going to keep an eye on this dollar CAD, see what it wants to do regarding the downside. But yeah, I'm just going to be monitoring. Also, dollar yen up against those highs again. It's had a look, and it's couldn't quite get up there, but it's knocking on the door a few more times than it has been. And I think if we get a break through there, 40, 50, we should go on for a test of 155.
Yeah, it's pretty bullish. I tried to short I tried to short the dollar yen last week right here when we were at this underside, and then I basically got out for break even, and one of our traders is like, why are you getting out of that? Because it hasn't broken back to the upside. I'm like, man, ahead of the weekend with the government looking like we're going to reopen, it looked like we were going to squeeze, and so this dollar yen has been super resilient despite there's a lot of news. Matter of fact, Kman, you probably saw the news from the BOJ minutes that were out last night. I mean, did you have any takeaways from those comments made by the
No,
BOJ?
as we said, they're just the voices saying that we are getting closer, but at the same time being cautious and wanting to see the evolution of how the wage outlook is. But we haven't heard anything from the companies yet, or the bigger companies, to see if they will go the union's way in giving them another bumper increase. No, for the rest, nothing that we really didn't hear before out of those minutes.
All right. Well, Dale, do you have an interview coming in today?
Anas Al-Haji is in the air from the Middle East, so he'll be here Thursday.
Oh,
Nothing
okay.
today.
So you don't have a guest you don't have a guest today. Sounds good. Well, I think we could probably wrap it up here. I mean, I think we're all just going to be waiting to see if the U.S. government reopens. Remember, we're all just waiting for all the votes to get passed in the Senate, and make sure there isn't any hangups. Then it's going to go to the House, and it should make it through there. And the market's just assuming that everything's going to get done, and we're going to reopen here in the next 24 or 48 hours or so. But obviously, this is where the market is pricing it all in. How far we're going to stretch, I guess, is to be seen, as the U.S. markets open. So it is going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty busy week. Even with the U.S. government reopening, I don't think we're going to get the inflation data that's normally expected on Thursday, and the PPI that's expected on Friday. I don't think we're going to get that data, but maybe I'm proved wrong. I mean, maybe we do. The government hustles and gets that data together for us. I don't know if that's going to happen. But
there's a bit of a handy guide in our newsroom that our Italian maestro put up, 5 magics from BNP, who are trying to guess when the data will be out.
Okay. So if you go into the ForexAnalytix chat room and you go into the news and research room, should be 5
Right
magics.
there.
Put this right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's what BNP says. So I'm just taking a real quick look.
So depending on when we get a reopening.
Yeah, like November 10th reopening, we'd be getting the CPI, but they don't even, he doesn't even have no one knows
They haven't got that on, but they've
no
got
one knows when the
PCE.
CPI is going to get released,
No.
but the PCE won't be released till December. Well,
We could
basically,
get- we
we're
should
going to be
get-
blind going into the
Yeah.
FOMC then.
We should get the September jobs fairly quickly because it's already there waiting to be pushed a button on. But,
Yeah.
who knows when they get back to the office.
Well, guys, one of the takeaways here is even though BNP doesn't know what the hell they're talking about as far as inflation data goes, if you want to sound smarter to the people that you're talking to on a daily basis, you should be in the ForexAnalytix news and research room and chat rooms to be getting this information. Whether you're talking about reports, headlines, bank reports, the sentiment index, and being able to talk to people that are just chatting about the markets all day long, every day, all morning long. Should be here with us in the the ForexAnalytix chat room. So we'll catch you guys in there. Matter of fact, Dale Briscoe joined us there today. Nice to have you there, Dale. If you're listening in, good to have you in our chat room as well. So Dale Pinkert, we're going to pass it on over to you, and you can wrap up the show from here.
Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Thank you, team. Good hunting today, everybody. See you on Turnaround Tuesday.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Bye-bye.